82 years ago, I still remember like it was today. 156,000 young men crossed the English Channel in the middle of the night, and most of them had never fired a weapon at another human being before that morning. By sunset, many of them were gone, their bodies left floating in red water on a beach in France that most of them couldn't even pronounce. My name is Matt. I am 109 years old, and I'm sitting here right now because I need to tell you what really happened on that beach. The version they leave out of the textbooks. The version that still wakes me up at 3 in the morning. This is the story of the boys who never came back home, and the ones like me who did, but left a piece of themselves buried in the sand at Normandy. What you're about to hear is going to change the way you think about war and about what it actually costs to be free. And I promise you, by the end of this, you will never look at D-Day the same way. Before we talk about the beach, I need to take you back, because I wasn't always this old man sitting in a chair. I was a kid once, and my biggest worry in 1940 was whether I could save enough money to take a girl to the movies on a Saturday night. My father and me, we didn't have much, but we had each other, and that mattered more than anything money could buy. Excuse me. Thousands of families just like mine were scattered across the country within the World War II years. In Oakland, California, a young man named Sherwin Callender joined the Civilian Conservation Corps just to earn a paycheck. The government gave him an Army uniform and a bunk, and he spent his days building campgrounds and fire trails in the mountains. One afternoon, a Navy recruiter walked into their camp, looked at the young men, and said something that changed Sherwin's life. The recruiter told them they'd have a girl in every port if they joined up. Sherwin signed his name before the man even finished talking.
Navy man came, he said, "You'll have a girl in every port." I said, "Sign me up." I was the first one.
That's how a kid who'd never seen the ocean ended up in the United States Navy. And that's the thing nobody often talks. These were not warriors. They were teenagers, mechanics, shoemakers' sons, farm boys, and kids who signed up because a recruiter made it sound like an adventure. None of them knew what was coming and what happened next to find every single day they had left on this earth. I remember the exact moment everything happened. It was December 1941, and it was snowing outside. I was at home with my family when the news came over the radio. The Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor. My gut told me to go, to sign up right then, but I had a family that needed me. My father couldn't run the shop alone, and my mother needed help. So I stayed and I waited. And every single day I carried the guilt of not going, while other men's sons were already fighting. Sherwin Callender was already there. He was stationed on the USS Wright, running supply missions between Pearl Harbor, Midway, and Wake Island. On their way back from Wake Island one night, a carrier passed them in the darkness, heading the same direction, and nobody could tell what country it belonged to. The next morning they heard the broadcast. Pearl Harbor had been hit. When Sherwin's ship pulled into the harbor, the destruction was beyond anything he could process. Wreckage everywhere, oil burning on the water, and bodies floating face down. He told a story that still makes my chest tight. He reached over the side to pull a man out of the water, grabbed him by the hair, and when the body started slipping, he grabbed the man's arm. The flesh came right off the bone. That hit me hard when I first heard it. It still does. That image never left Sherwin, and it never left me either. Over 2,000 Americans lost their lives that morning in Hawaii, and the country went from watching the war from a distance to being thrown right into the middle of it. After I was drafted, they sent me to the California desert. For 6 months, we trained in brutal heat, convinced we were headed to North Africa. Then everything changed. They shipped us east, and 2 weeks later, we landed in Scotland. Suddenly, it was rain, cold, and a new kind of training. Amphibious landings, beach assaults, cold water drills. We didn't say it out loud, but we all knew what it meant. An invasion was coming. The plan was set. 5 beaches, thousands of ships, and over 100,000 men. The largest amphibious assault in history. We waited in constant uncertainty, loaded onto ships again and again, never knowing if it was real. Then one night, the order came down. This is it. Eisenhower's words reached us all. A great crusade, full victory. That night I made my peace with God. I was terrified, but not of dying. Every man there knew the truth. Not all of us were coming back. We landed in the 5th wave at Omaha Beach, and everything went wrong. All 5 of our amphibious vehicles were destroyed before reaching shore. No equipment, no support, just rifles. When the ramp dropped, we stepped into water up to our necks. Gear sank, ammo was lost, units scattered. The only order anyone could hear was, get inland. Sherwin in the 1st wave had brutal orders. Don't stop, don't help the wounded, just bring more men. He watched his entire first load get wiped out. Not one survived. The beach was a killing field. Hundreds of feet of open sand under constant fire. The water near the shore turned red. Bodies were everywhere. Boats had no choice but to land on top of them. That image never leaves you. 82 years later, I can still hear it. Our first casualty was Don Simmons. He was the last off the landing craft, and a bullet hit him before his boots touched the water. It was the first death I saw, and something in me never came back the same. After that, there were more. Too many. One soldier, a redhead, sat behind wreckage holding his insides together, repeating, I'm going home. I told him, I wish you luck. I never knew if he made it. Another boy, no older than 17, froze on the beach, crying for his mother. Sherwin had to leave him behind. That, he said, was the worst part. Not the gunfire, the helplessness. These weren't soldiers in those moments. They were terrified kids, and no movie captures that. Days later, they sent us back to clean up. That meant collecting bodies, men who'd been lying in the sand for days. Then Father Flanagan stepped in. He stopped everything and said, lay them down one by one. They're my boys. He gave each man his last rites, one at a time. That moment stayed with me more than anything else. After the beach was secured, we dug in and tried to hold our positions. Sleep became impossible. The Germans sent low-flying planes over our lines every single night, buzzing just above the treetops, slow and loud. They weren't dropping bombs. They weren't strafing. They were just keeping us awake. Psychological torture, plain and simple. Night after night, the sound of those engines grinding overhead while you're lying in a foxhole trying to stay alive. I slept, though. I could really sleep. I'd make the sign of the cross, say a prayer, and tell myself the same thing every night. If I wake up, I wake up. If I don't, forget it. My state of grace carried me through it. Not everyone had that kind of peace, and you could see the lack of sleep eating men alive. Their hands would shake, their eyes would go hollow, decisions got sloppy, reactions slowed down. The Germans knew exactly what they were doing. Me and a buddy named Frank Floriano had crawled up behind a knocked-out landing craft for cover when a shell hit right behind us. That's when I caught a piece of shrapnel in my leg. The medic patched me up and wrapped it tight, but he was gone 2 days later. My medic was gone. The second medic who looked at the wound never filed a report either. There was no medical record of my injury, and that missing paperwork would follow me for decades. But at Normandy, nobody was thinking about paperwork. You're not going to sick call every morning when shells are falling around you. The wound got infected, the shrapnel stayed in my leg, and I kept moving forward because that's what you did. You didn't stop. You couldn't stop. The war was still going, and it needed every man who could still walk. After Normandy, the war didn't slow down. The push across France was relentless. Village after village, hedgerow after hedgerow, and the German resistance stayed fierce, even as the Allies gained ground. Winter came, and the Battle of the Bulge in December of 1944 became one of the most brutal engagements of the entire war, where temperatures dropped so low that frostbite became just as dangerous as enemy fire that I carried for the rest of my life. Germany finally surrendered in May of 1945. The war in Europe was over. And here's the strange part. I don't remember coming home. I don't remember the boat. I don't remember the crossing. I don't remember any of it. The only memory I have is stepping off in New York and an officer handing me discharge papers. That was it. Years of combat, friends lost, a piece of metal still in my leg, and my homecoming was a piece of paper and a handshake. We're getting to the part that changed everything for me. 75 years later. In June 2019, 75 years after D-Day, I went back to Normandy. The beach looked peaceful, but in my head, I could still hear everything. The gunfire, the shouting, the chaos. That moment broke me more than the war ever did. The people of Normandy still remember. They bring flowers, teach their children, and honor those who came every year. But time is running out. Fewer than 50,000 American World War II veterans are still alive. Soon their voices will be gone, and with them, the last living memories of that day. After the war, I lived my life, raised my kids, worked hard, tried not to think about the beach too much. But the shrapnel wound never fully healed, and my children wanted me to apply for the Purple Heart. My brother had received one, and my kids said I deserved the same recognition. So I tried. Nobody believed me. They wanted medical records, and there were none. The medic who first treated me had been gone days after he wrapped my wound. The second medic never filed a report. No documentation existed anywhere in the system. I submitted buddy statements from men who'd been right there with me, soldiers who'd watched the shrapnel hit my leg, and my commanding officer wrote a letter confirming the injury. The application went nowhere. Years passed. I gave up. 2 years, maybe 3, of phone calls, letters, research, and dead ends. I said I was done fighting for it. I'm happy. That medal doesn't make me forget what happened, but it means someone believed me. After all those years, someone finally believed me. I go to school sometimes. I sit down with kids and I tell them the truth. There's nothing glorious about war. Nothing. It's horrible. Horrible. The movies make it look like an adventure. The video games make it look like fun, but none of that comes close to the reality. The reality is a red-headed kid holding his guts together and saying he's going home. The reality is a 17-year-old crying for his mother on a beach in France. The reality is a chaplain with tears on his face, telling the burial crew to lay his boys down with dignity. Today, in 2026, only a handful of the men who were at Normandy are still breathing, and the world will pause for a moment to remember what happened there. But pausing isn't enough. These stories need to be carried forward by the people who hear them, because soon there won't be anyone left who was there to tell them firsthand. I survived. My kids, thank God I did. They wouldn't be here if I hadn't made it off that beach. And every day I wake up, I think about the ones who didn't. Don Simmons, the red-headed soldier, the boy calling for his mother, Father Flanagan and his boys, Frank Floriano, the medic who saved my leg and then lost his own life 2 days later. War doesn't end when the shooting stops. It lives inside you every single day for however many years you have left. And after 82 years, the one thing I know for certain is that those memories aren't fading. They're getting louder. So I'm asking you this: remember them. Not just on June 6th. They gave you the life you're living right now. And the least we owe them is to never, ever let the world forget what it cost. If this story moved you, if you felt even a fraction of what those men went through, then share this with someone who needs to hear it, so these stories keep reaching the people who will carry them forward. Because once the last veteran is gone, these voices live only through us.